The story now, while Imperial Logistics posted an increase in revenue and earnings, the company is still feeling the impact of COVID-19. It's also suffering from the lingering effects of the tobacco and alcohol bans. Despite showing solid growth, the company lost 2.6 billion rand in revenue due to the alcohol and tobacco sales bans. The company, which provides logistics services in sectors including healthcare and consumer products, says performance improved, and that was thanks to its strategy to simplify and restructure its balance sheet. Revenue increased by 13% to 52 billion rand and its earnings grew to 4.9 billion rand. Mohammed Okuji, who's the Imperial Logistics Chief Executive, joins me now to talk more about these numbers. Mohammed, many thanks for your time this evening. So you had some solid growth in the period, and I'm just wondering, what were some of the biggest contributors to that growth? You have mentioned a successful strategy, but surely there were other contributors.
Yes, good evening. Yeah, I think one of the major contributors was our new business gains. We won new business of 5.9 billion rand for the year. We had a contract renewal rate of 88%. And, 65% of our revenue on the African continent is exposed to the consumer and healthcare sectors, which were quite resilient during this period. We also saw a very good recovery in our European operations where, production in the automotive and the chemical sector recovered very well from the depths of COVID from last year. And then our palletways business, where we provide a 1 to 4 pallet consolidation service, benefited from increased e-commerce sales. So I would say those were the key drivers. We obviously managed our balance sheet and our capex very well. So in addition to having strong revenue growth and profit growth, we also converted that into strong cash flow generation, and that comes through in a very good balance sheet.
Yeah, but Mohammed, Imperial is still feeling the effects of those lockdowns I mentioned in my intro, 2.6 billion rand lost from that. How has that process been amended in any way?
Yeah, and as you highlighted, alcohol and tobacco are big industries for us, particularly in South Africa. We also have had the issue of shortage of semiconductors in the automotive sector, which means, volume production of cars in the last quarter were impacted. And supply chain costs are still very high because of the disruption due to COVID in terms of container flows and freight rates. So we're still dealing with, as you say, some of the headwinds. But, we can't do anything about that. We rather looking at things that we can control and things that we can influence. And as I say, despite a difficult economic environment, we see a good pipeline of new business, new pipeline of opportunities. We've announced 2 very good acquisitions on the African continent. So, our focus is control on what you can and focus on what you can control rather than, being, depressed by some of the external factors.
Right, Mohammed, I'm glad you bring up those acquisitions in Africa. We've seen other South African companies actually pull out their operations from Africa just because it's a difficult trading environment. What informed those acquisitions, and are you confident about that market in terms of creating growth for Imperial?
Yeah, we embarked on a growth strategy outside of South Africa probably about 10, 11 years ago. And at that time, we had virtually no revenue on the continent outside South Africa. Today, we have a business the size of our South African business on the rest of the continent. So, we've just built on our successes over the last 10 years. We've now got a very strong positioning in East Africa, West Africa, and Southern Africa. And our market access business has just grown from strength to strength. So, these acquisitions are in line with our strategy of being the gateway to Africa. It's aligned with us connecting Africa with multinationals that are looking to access some of the fastest growing consumer markets in the world. And in that, there's big opportunity. The logistics sector in sub-Saharan Africa is forecast to grow at about 12% per annum. and it's going to be one of the fastest growing, parts of the economies. So I think the opportunities are there, and we got to take advantage of that.
A final thought from you, Mohammed. A big story that we've been tracking for a while now is the vaccine rollout. You would have seen some companies like Discovery and others coming on board saying that they're going to be making vaccinations mandatory. You are in a very important sector, logistics. Employees engage with various people around various places in the world. What is Imperial Logistics' stance on the vaccination drive? Is it something you're looking at making mandatory for the employees?
Yeah, not mandatory. Obviously, we're encouraging people at this stage, to vaccinate themselves because the safety of others and themselves. And we've set up also recently, a vaccination site for our people to get vaccinated. So, we're certainly encouraging it because, as you say, our people are at the coalface in terms of our truck drivers, our warehousing staff. And it's certainly something that we're encouraging.
Brilliant. Many thanks for your time this evening. I've been speaking there to the Chief Executive of Imperial Logistics, Mohammed Akuji.